We are 5 months into the year that is supposed to save Hollywood. This way, we were all supposed to survive until 25, and well, you take a look at the names that are on the list right there, and a couple of them are right here on the doorstep, and one actually has just released number 5 on your list, but number 1 in Marvel's heart, right? Because they had big expectations for this film. They thought that it was so good. Yeah, you could just go ahead and toss off, Captain Black Falcon America Man to the side. That's a holdover from the previous regime, but as Fandango has it all categorized, Thunderbolts asterisk is the number 5 most anticipated summer movie, which is interesting because now we have the opening weekend numbers, no more projections, no more shoegazing, and what does the number 5 spot provide you in the realm of fiduciary gain? Well, $162 million global opening, guys. Oh my God, it's a smash hit until you put it into proper context. Thunderbolts asterisk rolls to $162 million plus global opening. Minecraft nears $900 million worldwide, which far and away surpasses projections, which is the last time we'll be able to say that about any films in here. And Sinners has another saintly hold, which, yeah, crazy about that, okay? Sinners, like its first to second week drop off, as we talked about before, 5% down, which is just, it's unheard of, full stop, okay? Outside of other movies gaining more theaters, going from a limited to a wide release, you never ever see such a minuscule drop off like that. And its third weekend drop off, bro, this thing, congratulations to Ryan Coogler for actually doing something decent, I suppose. Coming in a touch lower than where we saw it heading yesterday. Oh, big shock on that one, because for everybody running around there with the, the projected numbers, 76 million. That's why I like to wait an extra day until we get the actuals, because yeah, Marvel, Disney, they love to lie to you about how much money that they make. Thunderbolts is open to $162.1 million globally, including $86.1 million from the international box office. Why don't you talk about the domestic box office? Anyways, the worldwide bow is within the pre-weekend projected opening range. Even though at the beginning of last week we had to go ahead and alter some of our projections, because what started out as $100 million domestically turned into 90, which turned into 80, which eventually settled in on the $60 to $70 million window. Overseas, the Florence Pugh star launched to number 1 non-local in nearly all major markets, as well as the most smaller markets. International debuts estimated to be 45% of Shang-Chi, 13% above Ant-Man, and 7% over Guardians of the Galaxy in a like-for-like markets at current rates, excluding China, which is interesting. Look at the comparisons that they're making. The first Ant-Man, when exactly did that come out? Over a decade ago? Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, exactly. And Shang-Chi, oh, that's interesting. It's interesting because we got some numbers to run here just in a little bit, because for as much as these corporate rags are trying to run this as being, oh my God, guys, you just don't understand how important this is, because mental health, it addresses mental health because Bob has got the mental health, but then he's fine because through the power of friendship, they cure him. Holy shit, man. Film played best in Latin America and smaller Asian markets, while Europe was a bit mixed. Although overall Saturday bumps didn't pan out as hoped, parts of Europe saw the biggest Friday to Saturday increases, which reflects the impact of the changing weather. Wait, what? This is what you're going in on. Meanwhile, yeah, you could take a look at other things like Minecraft still being, okay, currently stands at 873.4 million, which, thank the good fucking Lord, it isn't going to cross $1 billion. Oh my God, because it's going to have to give up its slots. It's a Warner Brothers movie, and Warner Brothers at the end of the month, it has a big business coming out in the form of, or rather just big competition in the form of Lilo and Stitch, live action for the kids, or Mission Impossible, Final Reckoning, Dead Reckoning Part 2, whatever for the adults, which that'll be interesting to look at. I hope it's good. I just don't think it will be, but apparently that really doesn't much matter anymore, because word of mouth, man, it's interesting, because there's a lot of people that thought that this was somewhat of a decent film, okay, I didn't hate it, it's like a 5.5 or a 6 that's out there, but I listened to a fair number of breakdowns of this, and it just sounds like one of the most unremarkable films Marvel has ever put out. Like, at least there was meme value in a bunch of their previous output, okay? Captain Black Falcon, notwithstanding, that was just a bungled mess and a deserved deserved its failure. But people giving Marvel a second chance on Thunderbolts by saying, oh, it's got a really strong messaging about how we should give a shit about all of these, pill popping, vodka swilling losers who, they have really good actors, but bro, they're all written like unlikable idiots. And the ones that they don't know what to do with, John Walker's character, they keep showing him being a good man, but then they just shit on him, and the movie tells you explicitly, no, he's garbage, but here, he just keeps on doing these heroic things. It's like, what are you even doing? It's just totally messed up. And then you have Sentry coming in as like in an 8th grader's interpretation of a super edgy character. Oh yeah, well my OC is the most powerful and invincible person, and the only way that he can be defeated is by himself if he's like super sad. It's like if somebody gave Zack Snyder the opportunity to direct a villain origin story. That's what you'd get with Sentry in The Void. Oh, he's sad and therefore he turns into the Void. Like, alright, cool. I look forward to him never manifesting his powers ever again, because the moment that, he can start blipping people into the void, why should we give a fuck about the stakes of any other movie that's out there? But yeah, so just about the competition that's out there right now. Sinners, only dropped, at 27% in its 3rd weekend. That is crazy, man. That is, again, another legendarily minuscule drop-off that no other film, there is nothing else that you can compare this to when it comes to success. But back to Thunderbolts, it released day and date globally, and as previously noted, was not expected to do mega business in China and Korea. But no, I thought there was supposed to be, China wasn't supposed to be getting any of the, oh right, it's almost like all of these tariffs and stuff is just an opportunity to get people to the negotiating table. More on that tomorrow. But back to the Thunderbolts, right? For as much as Deadline, Variety, Hollywood Reporter, all of these access media rags don't want to point out, big number mean good, right? Nah, man, if this was actually a successful film, why would they have to go through with the rebranding on this movie? That's kind of wild, right? Thunderbolts flops leads to new Avengers title change, which, this is a real thing. This is a real thing, by the way, which, you got the cast in what looks like, the back room of some theater with the poster up there on a easel, and they're revealing the film's actual title, which I have never ever seen this before in my life. You market a film based on one name, and then you think this is somehow going to make it better, that now you're going to be calling it The New Avengers, and that's, I don't know, man. Maybe you're just trying to kick the can down the road when it comes to that legendary Marvel second week drop off, because just about every film, the only one that didn't have a catastrophic 60+% drop off to the second week, I think, was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Every other one, fell off a cliff. The worst, of course, being the Marvels, but I think there's some learning that has been done. Obviously, like if they wanted to avoid these monstrous second week declines, if they would learned anything, it would be to, hire somebody who could actually write a script, develop some characters that people actually care about, and stop insulting your audience. You could just do that, but no, that's just too difficult. We'll just go ahead and throw Avengers on something, which it's going to be interesting, right? Because this is going to be an alongside, stupid, petty Sam Wilson, which he's not even in the film, but he already gets, character damage done to him because he's so petty. He's trying to sue the ragtag and the New Avengers because he has the trademark on the Avengers, which, how does he get that? Because if anybody had the trademark on the Avengers, you would have thought it would have been Tony Stark or his estate, but I guess the guy who in Falcon and the Winter Soldier couldn't get a bank loan had the foresight to acquire the trademark to a team that he was barely a part of. Make that one make sense and have that one stand up in a court of law. But hey, if we don't want to acknowledge the Sokovia Accords, if we don't want to do any of that type of, pesky world building stuff, why would we ever think that trademark law would come into this one? It's not like you've done several shows about lawyers or anything like that. But no. Just go ahead. No. The Thunderbolts, people aren't watching it. Okay, yeah. It's one of the worst performing Marvel films ever. We'll just change the name. We'll just put Avengers on it. And therefore, in the second week, week, people will get, people will hear that this is a serious, gritty, it's well acted, it's got one scene that people might actually like, and you'll remember Bucky, he's been around since phase 1, he's in this, sort of, he shows up on his motorcycle and he just phones in his performance so hard you would think it was sponsored by AT&T, but no, you can come back, you can watch this one, because it's better, and it's setting up, because it's got a long post-credit scene that was filmed 3 weeks before the film hit theaters by the Russo brothers to set up the Fantastic Four, another group of characters which will probably have a better fate than this team will in Doomsday, because I can imagine, right? Because they're kind of setting up these little epochs, just a little bit of a detour to the Avengers, to Avengers Doomsday before we come back to the new Avengers here for a moment, and I'll look at some numbers. But I'm thinking, right, because the way that they're setting up, like you got the old X-Men, you got the Fantastic Four, you've got some other Avengers, you've got the little disparate teams kind of setting up like the way that the Russo brothers handled all of those different teams in Infinity War. So you'd kind of think that they'd, try to run back that success that they had beforehand by just, squaring off these different little teams that are out there. And if there's any other, credibility to the rumors that are out there that, yeah, for the 30 plus people that were announced in that stupid ass chair stream about a month ago, there's another 30 names to be added to this, which, yeah, this is just, it was already an overstuffed disaster area. It's going to get even worse from here. So yeah, they've really got to establish team dynamics, but then, okay, like outside of RDJ coming back, they've really got to establish Doctor Doom. So I'm kind of wondering if he doesn't just come in within the first little while and the first team that he squares off against is, yeah, the Kazoo Avengers, and he just fucking yeets them out of existence. I would love to see that. Okay, just take all of these dog shit characters, okay? Even though John Walker did nothing wrong, and he comes out of this movie, being one of the most compelling characters, which, despite his writing, is very much a good man, being explicitly told to us that he's not, even though his actions are wildly different than the way that he's being portrayed. He would have to get sacrificed in order to lend credibility to Doctor Doom, because as in a meta sense, like everybody knows who Doom is, okay, we know that he's the big badass, but just why should we care? Okay, and then yeah, also spoiling at the end. It's not an explicit spoiler. That's a difficult to say for whatever reason. Like with the Fantastic Four ship coming into the 616, that they fail at the end of the Fantastic Four, which yeah, we could already tell from all the happy marketing how everybody loves the Fantastic Four. Yeah, you want to go ahead and drag them down. You want to show that Reed Richards is an idiot, which yeah, Pedro Pascal once again being a cuck. Big shock. Once again, actors kind of like David Harbour, the Red Guardian, he gets cast in roles to be the punching bag. Pedro Pascal has definitely been typecast as being the cuck, soft, sensitive man. So yeah, him being a loser and totally inadequate, leading to the destruction of the world that adores Fantastic Four. That totally makes sense. And then Sue totally taking over control of that team in order to make sure that these types of errors don't happen again. Like, the writing's on the wall of this one. I wasn't ever going to go see that film in theaters, but I think I already know what it's all about. But yes, following the Thunderbolts, flopping over the weekend at the box office, which, yep, you take a look at its comparables, and there's no other way to assess this. In what looks like a desperate move from Kevin Feige, Marvel is quick to change, the upcoming marketing and title of the film to the new Avengers. You really think Marvel would spoil the film if it was a raging success? Yeah, exactly, because this could be a way that they were introduced, like if they were going to be a little sub team, okay, the way that a lot of people were introduced in Infinity War, where you just had a little banner of either where they are or the teams that they were. They would go ahead and put that up there. Oh, this is the new Avengers. You might just have, you might have the rebranding presented in Doomsday, where you would have, okay, here's the Thunderbolts, here's the team of the Thunderbolts, here's what they're doing right now, but then you'd have the reveal that now they're going to be the new Avengers. You wouldn't do that right now. Maybe this was always the plan, but it was a stupid fucking plan, if we're going to keep it a buck. You market everything on it being the Thunderbolts, but now at the 11th hour, actually at the 13th hour, because it's already been released and it's already been a success, which for everybody giving it praise over the first weekend, where, oh, look at the Rotten Tomatoes scores and the verified audience scores, oh boy, they're really high and people really like this. I think the word of mouth on this one, yeah, you're just going to hear about the end credit scene. Just going to hear, oh my God, they're the new Avengers, guys. This is so awesome. But as more time passes, nobody's going to look back on this fondly. Wow, they were in a vault for like 40 minutes. Task manager ends up getting unceremoniously fucking blasted in the face, and then they just end up looting her corpse. Cool. A girl who was under mind control since the age of 5 ends up getting unceremoniously blasted in the face just to have some kind of stakes for upcoming potential incineration. And then follow that up with another claustrophobic fight that ends up getting resolved by just really strong hugs. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Everybody thinking that it's a really deep and emotional performance right now. Give it a couple of days, people are going to turn on this like it's a fucking rotisserie chicken. Title change, yes, also brings up a similar situation with DC's Harley Quinn Birds of Prey movie. Really? They did that? Fuck. I was out of the loop when that came through, but yeah, what follows, I guess, and no spoiler warning is necessary, yeah, as it begins in theaters in only 4 days, Marvel has spoiled things themselves, revealing that the Thunderbolts are the new Avengers. Which, yeah, now you're going out there and you're denigrating the mystique and the prestige of the Avengers, all for what exactly? To try to save a floundering production that's tracking behind everything else except for a couple of barrel scraping examples, which, yeah, you take a look at this, $74.3 million domestic box office. You wonder why Deadline didn't want to lead with that, but they wanted to tell you, oh, $86 million internationally. Bro, that is under, right? Because Captain Black Falcon America, man, which was, yeah, a bottom tier opening weekend, it domestically had $88.8 million. $86 million internationally. This thing is a fucking dud. And what I found even more shocking, just look at the fall off, right? Like that $11.5 million preview night, that is lower. That is considerably lower because I think, actually, fuck, I'll just pull it up. Yeah, I've got Captain America. You can see it right here. Okay, I'm not lying to you. Captain America on that one. Yeah, $12 million. $12 million opening weekend. And then it had a 40 Friday, 27.7, and then a 20 Sunday. I mean, like, that's, like, the fall off is pretty steep, but the Saturday to Sunday wasn't that bad. You take a look at the Thunderbolts, and holy shit, man. Like, it didn't even start that high. 31.8 on Friday, 24 on Saturday, which, and then 17.8 on Sunday. That's why I don't like to run with any of the projected numbers, because they always come in worse, and that's really bad. And yeah, even though the critics and the verified audience really like it, and the most generous reviews out there from the independent media are going, it's fine, but you know, I wouldn't really rush out there to watch it. It's something that, you know, I wouldn't turn off if I seen it again. But yeah, after I've heard different breakdowns of it, like, for as much as I love EFAP, okay, and they had a big 9-hour long discussion on it, normally their breakdowns are very, very good and very, very comprehensive. Not taking it away from this one either, but I have a generally decent sense about what the movie is about, you know, how the plot flows, what the character contradictions and what they're alike in there. Okay, like I have a pretty good takeaway of the movie, especially when they do a multi-part breakdown or just, you know, a chronological breakdown of something. This time around, I had a tough time following it. Not like because this is like a super intense movie, it's just written so contradictory. And it's a bafflingly stupid script that hates most of its characters. And that's the thing that people are eventually going to come around to, that Marvel really can't write characters. And that's what's driving people long-term away from the box office. Because at this point in time, they have one card left to play. Their next 4 releases, ladies and gentlemen, Fantastic Four, Doomsday, Spider-Man, A Brand New Day, and then Secret Wars. That is their next 4 movies in their lineup. Don't know about the shows. I know that, you know, Ironheart is going to be coming out in June. And then there's Wonder Man. And then we'll talk more about, you know, Kevin Feige's plan moving forward here, I think tomorrow or the day after. Sometime this week. I have it earmarked for something. We'll get around to that, because, spoiler, they don't know why they're failing. They refuse to acknowledge that they can't write good scripts and compelling characters. Or even if they do it on accident and they can't capitalize on it. But yes, simply looking at the numbers that are out here, okay, for as many of the shills that are out there just saying, oh my god, no, oh, it's such a good movie, oh, it's within expectations. Bro, you take a look and you compare this against Brave New World, and then you got The Eternals, okay, which used to be the benchmark for failure, and then the actual benchmark for failure, The Marvels, and then, of course, what is a bellwether for the beginning of Phase 5, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and you have to realize that Ant-Man and the Wasp, yeah, the best performing one, and that was outright considered a flop. I think, what is it, revisionist history says that thing made like $54,000, which at that point in time, don't even announce that it made money. But now that they're all coming around to Brave New World being a total flop and a failure at 414 million, that they have the audacity of saying that this thing only made 180 million. That this thing only cost 180 million dollars to make. Which, yeah, we know how many rounds of reshoots that Brave New World went through. Okay, and Thunderbolts, there were some obvious reshoots. Okay, we also know that, yeah, that post-credit scene that was slapped on to the end of this 3 weeks before the film released. Okay, so yeah, it obviously costs more than 180 million dollars. How much more? I'm sure we'll eventually figure out. I think this one was filmed in the UK or something like that, so we might actually get receipts on it at some point in time. But it is tracking behind everything not named the Marvels and comparably to the Eternals. It's $3 million ahead of the Eternals. $3 million ahead of the Eternals for its domestic opening weekend. And that came out when competition was relatively weak. Next week, not a lot is coming out. But the week after that, and you start to get your Mission Impossibles, then you start to get your Lilo and Stitches, then you start to get your heavy hitters in July. This thing, I don't know, man, especially with Sinners hanging on and people having a generally decent take on that one, it's going to crash even further. And this is only going to lead to more brand damage when it comes to the Avengers, not helping the MCU and further throwing this once great franchise into further and further disarray. Congratulations, Kevin Feige. You played yourself. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.